You are listening to PastThink.com audiobook. Please like and subscribe, thank you. Chapter 23. Grandma Wang being covetous spoke seductively. Young-gu makes a row in a tea shop. Wu Song turned round, and when he saw that the man who was speaking to him was his elder brother Wu the elder, he knelt down and kowtowed. He said, "I have not seen you for more than a year. But why have you come here?" "You have been away for a long time," replied Wu the elder, "but why have you not written to me? Although I did not like you yet I never forgot you." "Why were you annoyed, and why did you think of me so often?" asked Wu Song. "When you were in Qinghe County you often got drunk and fought with other men," said Wu the elder. "You were often brought before the magistrate. And when at last you ran away, I had to go to the court repeatedly about your affairs. That was what made me annoyed. And what made me to think of you was that I recently married a Qinghe County woman, and many men came to insult me about that matter, and there was no one like you to assist me. When you were at home who would have dared to come and so much as fart? I could not live in peace there, so I removed here, and found a house where I now live. That trouble made me to think of you." Now, dear reader, please note, Wu Song and Wu the elder were brothers to the same mother. Wu Song was over 6 feet in height, and he could lift about 300 weights. If he had not been so strong, how could he have killed the tiger? Wu the elder was nearly 4.5 feet in height, and his countenance was ugly. The shape of his head was conical. The people of Qinghe County looked upon him as a dwarf, and had therefore given him the nickname 3 inches of mulberry bark. Now in Qinghe County there was a big family, which had a maidservant named Pan Jinlian, who was about 20 years of age, and was quite good-looking. Her master made base suggestions, but she told her mistress about it, and said that she was not willing to agree to his advances. Because of this the master disliked the maidservant, but offered her in marriage to Wu the elder, and also gave her some presents, but he declined to receive any money from Wu the elder. Shortly after the marriage there were quite a number of loose profligates, who came to Wu the elder's house to visit his wife. In fact, as Wu the elder was only a small, ugly man, his wife looked upon him as being of useless nature, and quite unsuitable as a lover. She did not hesitate to consort with other men. Wu the elder was rather a quiet fellow, and would not dispute with what these loose fellows did. They shouted out at his street door, "What a nice piece of meat has fallen in a dog's mouth." As a result of this, Wu the elder did not care to stay in Qinghe County, and removed to a house in Zishur Street, Yanggu County town. Every day he acted as hawker selling cakes on the street. On this day he had been selling cakes when he happened to see his brother Wu Song. "The day before yesterday," said Wu the elder, "I heard a great many people talking about a man named Wu who had killed a tiger on Jingyang Ridge, and who had been given a commission as inspector by the county magistrate. I guessed that it was you, but how could I expect to meet you today? I will not sell any more cakes just now, and will go with you to my home." "Elder brother, where is your home?" asked Wu Song. "It is near the Zishur Street," replied Wu the elder, pointing with his finger. Wu Song carried the load of cakes, and Wu the elder led him round many corners to his home. He stopped at a house near a tea shop, and called out, "Wife, open the door." The screen at the door was lifted and a woman appeared who asked, "Husband, why have you returned so soon?" "Your brother-in-law has arrived," replied Wu the elder, "please come out to meet him." Wu the elder now took the load from Wu Song, and entering the house said, "Brother, come inside, and let me introduce you to my wife." Wu Song lifted up the screen and entered, and was duly introduced. Wu the elder said, "Wife, the man who killed the tiger on Jingyang Ridge, and was given a commission as inspector in the police, is none other than my younger brother." She at once saluted by folding her arms and said, "Much prosperity, uncle," addressing Wu Song with a level of reverence that her son would have done. Wu Song asked her to be seated. He kowtowed, and it was as magnanimous as the fall of a golden mountain and a jade pillar. The woman raised up Wu Song and said, "Uncle, by doing this you lessen the prospects of my life." "I only ask you to receive my respects," replied Wu Song. "My adopted mother, Grandma Wang, told me that a big man had killed a tiger, and that I must go and see him," replied the woman. "And you are that man. I request you to come upstairs and sit down." They all three sat down upstairs, and when the woman had had a look at Wusong, she said to her husband, "I will keep company with your brother, while you go and prepare some food and wine in order to entertain our uncle." Wu the elder agreed to this and promised to return soon. When he had gone, his wife looked more closely at Wusong, and was pleased with his appearance. She thought that if she had married a man like him, all her life would not have been wasted. Her husband was only 3 parts a man, and 7 parts an imp. What bad luck she had had. As Wusong had killed a tiger, he must be enormously strong. I think he has no wife, so why should I not ask him to stay here? I think that I shall now find my marriage affinity here after all. With her smiling face she asked Wusong how long he had been in that district, to which Wusong replied that he had been there about 10 days. "Where do you stay then?" asked the woman. "I am staying temporarily at the yamen," replied Wusong. "That cannot be very comfortable and convenient," remarked the woman. "As I am by myself, that does not matter," replied Wusong. "Besides, I have soldiers to wait upon me." "But how can those men look after you properly?" said the woman. "Why not come and live here? When you want hot water or food, whether early or late, I can always get the same ready for you, and that would be much better than depending on those dirty men. When you want clear soup, you need have no worry about it." Wusong thanked her very much for her suggestion. "But have you an aunt, a wife, living in some other place?" asked the woman. "If so, then ask her to come here to live with us." "I have not married yet," replied Wusong. "How old are you?" "I am 25 years of age," replied Wusong. "So you are 3 years older than I. Where have you come from this time?" "I lived at Songzhou for more than a year," replied Wusong, "and then decided to come to visit my elder brother at Qinghe County. I did not know that he had removed here. To explain that removal it would take a long time. Since I married your elder brother, so many men have insulted him owing to good nature that we could not live any longer at Qinghe County, and therefore we removed to this place. If such a brave man as you had been there, who would have dared to say a word against us? My brother was always law-abiding and good-natured, and was quite different from me, as I always make disturbances," said Wusong. "Why do you make such a false accusation against yourself?" asked Pan Jinlian. "There is a common saying, men of yielding nature cannot have a stable foothold in society. I am of a precipitous nature, and cannot bear to see a man who does not even turn his head after being abused 3 times, and who runs away at the 4th attack. My brother does not like to provoke unpleasantness, so that there is no need for you to be distressed," said Wusong. While they were still talking about him, Wu the elder returned with the meat, wine, and fruit, and placed them in the kitchen below. He then came upstairs and said, "Wife, you go downstairs and get things ready. You see, that fellow does not understand things. Here is my uncle, and I am told to leave him alone and go to the kitchen," said Pan Jinlian. "Please suit your own convenience, my sister-in-law," said Wusong. "But why not ask my adopted mother, Grandma Wang, who lives next door, to do this?" asked Pan Jinlian. "If I have to do the work, that will not be very nice." So Wu the elder went to the next door, and requested Grandma Wang to come and prepare the food for them, fish, meat, fruit, and vegetables. He also warmed some wine, and put it on the table. All 3 sat down. Pan Jinlian sat opposite to Wusong, in a hostess position, and Wu the elder at the side. Wu the elder poured out the wine for all the party. "Uncle," said Pan Jinlian, picking up a cup of wine, "I hope you won't mind our rough ways. Please drink a cup of wine." "I am deeply grateful," replied Wusong, "you need not talk in that manner." Wu the elder did not appear to take notice of anything except serving the wine. "Uncle, why don't you eat a little fish or meat?" asked Jinlian with a smiling face. So saying, she selected some of the best bits and placed them in his bowl. Wusong was a very straightforward man, and looked upon this great compliment as merely the expression of a real sister-in-law's desire to please. But he did not know previously that Pan Jinlian had been a maidservant, and had acquired the habit of coquetry. As Wu the elder was an honest and weak-natured man, how could he know to entertain a guest? Jinlian drank several cups of wine, and gazed steadily at Wu Song, but he appeared to take no notice of this, and simply bowed his head. After he had drunk about 10 cups of wine, he rose from the table. "Brother, please drink another cup of wine before you go," said Wu the elder. "Not this time," said Wu Song. "I will come to visit you again." When they were all down below seeing Wu Song off, Jinlian spoke to him. "Uncle, I hope that you will not forget to come and live with us here, or else the people will laugh at us. We are relatives, and not strangers." She then addressed her husband. "You had better prepare a room, and ask your brother to come to live here. Do not give our neighbors the opportunity of saying that we do not know how to do things properly." "What you say is quite right," said Wu the elder. Turning to his brother, he said, "Brother, you must come and live here, and let me be proud of it." "As you both press me," said Wu Song, "I will get my baggage and come over here this evening." "Then don't forget to do so," said Jinlian, "because I shall look forward upon you." Wu Song left them, went down the Zisher Street, and was soon at his quarters. The county magistrate was sitting on the bench, so Wu Song went to him and said, "I have a brother here who lives on Zisher Street, and I should like to go and live with him. I assure you that this would not interfere with my duties here. I would not dare to do it without your authority, so I now ask for your esteemed permission." "That is a matter of brotherly duty," said the county magistrate, "and I cannot place any obstacle in your way. You will of course attend to your duties in the yamen as before." Wu Song expressed his thanks, and then going to his room packed up his things, including the new clothes and other things which had been presented to him. He then summoned a soldier to carry his baggage to his elder brother's home. Upon seeing him arrive, Pan Jinlian laughed, and was as delighted as though she had received a great deal of gold at midnight. Wu the elder got a carpenter to fix up a room for his brother, and furnished it with a bed, a table, 2 chairs, and a stove. When everything was ready, Wu Song brought his baggage upstairs, and then dismissed the soldier. Early the next morning, Jinlian quickly arose, and got ready the hot water for washing the face and cleaning the teeth. She gave it to Wu Song, and called him. He dressed and tied his turban to his head. As he was leaving, Jinlian spoke to him, "Uncle, I hope you will come back early for your meal, and not go anywhere else." He promised to do this, and then went to the yamen to register his attendance there before 7 a.m. He attended to his duties at the yamen, and then left about noon to return home. Pan Jinlian had had a wash and manicured her nails. She was very spick and span. She had prepared the food and arranged the table for 3 persons. They all sat down, and she presented Wu Song with a cup of tea. Wu Song said, "Please do not be so courteous to me, or I am afraid that it will only upset me. I shall then have to send a soldier here to look after me." Jinlian called out several times, "Uncle, you must make yourself at home. We are brothers of the same parents, and I am not treating other people in this way. If you brought a soldier here to cook your food, it would not be clean, and that would not suit me." "In that case I must submit to your kind attentions," replied Wu Song. Shortly after coming to the house, Wu Song gave Wu the elder some money to purchase cakes, fried crisp, tea, and fruit, and asked him to invite the neighbors to attend an entertainment. They all came with gifts for Wu Song, and Wu the elder afterwards gave another dinner. After a few days, Wu Song bought a roll of silk, and asked Jinlian to make herself a suit of clothes. Jinlian laughed and said, "Uncle, as you present me with this silk, I dare not refuse it." Thenceforth Wu Song stayed at the house of his brother, and Wu the elder continued selling cakes on the street, while Wu Song attended to his duty at the yamen, and as usual Jinlian prepared the food, and was evidently much pleased to wait upon Wu Song, who could not help being very grateful. The woman, in everything she said, never failed to try to stir up Wu Song's feelings towards herself. Being a very virtuous man, he did not pay much attention to that. After staying about a month with Wu the elder, he noticed that it was winter time. Every day there was a bitter cold wind, and the sky was covered with clouds. One day there was a heavy downfall of snow, and it continued to fall all the day without stopping. The following day Wusong got up early, and went to the yamen to register his attendance, and he did not return from his duties about noon. Meanwhile Wu the elder had been sent off by his wife to hawk the cakes on streets. Pan Jinlian went to her neighbor Grandma Wang, and asked her to go and buy some wine and meat for her. She then went into Wusong's room, and lit a charcoal fire. She thought that this was a fine opportunity to make Wusong conforming to her desires. She was absolutely alone by herself, and stood behind the screen near the front door. She soon saw Wusong treading his way through the snow as though he were walking through fragments of white jade. She raised the screen, and greeted him with a smile, asking whether he was cold. Wusong thanked her for thinking so much about his welfare. He entered, and took off his felt cap. Jinlian held out both hands to receive it from him. But Wusong said, "I cannot trouble you to wait upon me in this way." He shook the snow off the cap, and hung it on the wall. He then unloosened his cummerbund, and took off his parrot green silk clothing. He went into his room, and hung up his clothing there to dry. Jinlian asked him why he had not returned for his dinner at an earlier time as usual, and Wusong explained that he had met a friend in town who had invited him to dinner. There was another friend who also asked him to dine, but he had declined his invitation, and came straight home. "So that was it," she said. "Well, come close to the fire." "All right," replied Wusong. He then took off his boots, changed his socks, and put on a pair of warm slippers. He then drew a chair to the fire and sat down. Pan Jinlian went downstairs, and barred the front door, and locked the back door. She then got the wine, fruit, and vegetables, and carrying them upstairs, placed them on the table. "Where has my brother gone that he has not returned yet?" asked Wusong. "Your brother has gone selling cakes as usual," replied Jinlian. "We two can drink our wine together." "We had better wait until he comes when we can dine together," said Wusong. "But why wait until he arrives?" said Jinlian. "We need not wait for him." While saying this, she took a jug of warmed wine from the fire. "Please sit down," said Wusong. "I will attend to warm the wine." "Uncle," replied Jinlian, "be at ease." She drew a chair close to the fire and sat down there. Close by her side there was a table, and on it she put some wine and food. Pouring out a small cup of wine, she held it in both hands, and looking at Wusong she said, "Uncle, please drink this full cup of wine." Wusong took the cup and drank the wine at a gulp. The woman refilled the cup and said, "The weather is very cold, so please drink a cup with me." "Just as you like," replied Wusong, and drank off the second cup. He then filled a cup and handed it to the woman who drank the wine. She in turn filled another cup and placed it in front of Wusong. She then unloosened her upper dress and displayed a little of her breasts. A little of her hair was also hanging loosely. With smiling face she spoke to Wusong, "A certain man has told me that you are keeping a girl in the east side before the yamen. Is that true or not?" "You should not listen to such nonsense," said Wusong. "I am not that kind of man." "I do not believe you. I am afraid that your deeds might differ from your words." "If you do not really believe me, then ask my brother," replied Wusong. "But what does he know?" said Jinlian. "If he knew such matters he would not sell cakes on the streets now. Please drink another cup of wine, uncle." As Wusong drank the wine she kept filling his cup, so that he had soon drunk about 4 cups. She also drank the same quantity, so that very soon she was unable to restrain her passions, and began to talk unguardedly. Through her words Wusong now understood a little, but he declined to take any notice of her, and hung down his head. She went downstairs to put some more wine on the fire, and Wusong stirred up the fire in his room with a poker. She came upstairs again with a fresh jug of wine in one hand, and squeezing Wusong's shoulder with the other she said, "Uncle, are you not afraid of the cold as you were so little?" Wu Song now understood more of her ways. He was not pleased but did not reply to her. Seeing his silent attitude, she took the poker out of his hand and said, "Uncle, you need not trouble about the fire. I will poke the fire for you. I wish that your heart could be always as hot as the fire." Now Wu Song understood her almost completely and was highly upset, but he did not say a word. Jin Lian was now very lustful, so throwing the poker down she filled another cup, drank half of it, and looking at Wu Song said, "If you love me, drink the remainder of this wine." Wu Song seized the cup and threw it on the floor saying, "Sister-in-law, you evidently have no shame," and at the same time he pushed her away from him. Glaring at her he said, "I am a decent man, and am not of a moral character. I am not like a pig or dog without morals. You must not be shameless like this. If your lustful words came to my ears, my eyes might recognize you as my sister-in-law, but my fist would not take any notice of such relationship. So let us have no more of this." Jin Lian was now blushing all over her face and removing a stool she said, "I was only playful. I did not expect that you would take it serious, you are indeed strange to compliment." She then removed all the dishes and took them down below, while Wu Song remained in his room fuming with rage. About 2 o'clock Wu the elder returned carrying his load of cakes, and knocking at the door he was immediately admitted by his wife. He put his things down in the kitchen, and then noticed that both his wife's eyes were red with crying. He asked whom she had been quarreling with. She replied, "It is all due to your lack of energy, and your allowing an outsider to insult me." "Who has insulted you?" asked Wu the elder. "Whom do you think?" asked his wife. "It was none other than that fellow Wu Song. I saw him return when it was snowing, and I quickly prepared some mulled wine for him. When he saw me alone he began to flirt with me." "My brother is not that kind of man," replied Wu the elder. "He is always honest. Do not speak in such a loud tone or else our neighbors may hear what you say, and they will laugh at us." He pushed her to one side, and went upstairs to see Wu Song. "I see, brother," he said, "you have not eaten your repast, let us have some together." Wu Song did not speak. He thought just a moment, then took off his slippers, put on his leather boots, and fastened them. He put on his felt cap, buckled his belt, and then walked towards the door. "Where are you going?" asked Wu the elder in a loud voice. But he got no reply, and Wu Song left the house without saying a word. Wu the elder went to the kitchen and asked his wife, "Do you know where he has gone?" "He did not reply to me, and went in the direction of the yamen." "You stupid ass," replied his wife. "Isn't it very obvious? He is ashamed of himself, and does not care to face you. I will not approve of your allowing that man to stay here. Since he has gone we shall be the laughingstock of our neighbors," said Wu the elder. "You idiotic imp," replied his wife. "His flirting with me would of course make our neighbors laugh. You may live with him if you want. But I cannot tolerate that kind of man to come and live here again. You write out a document divorcing me, and then you can go and join him." What could Wu the elder say to this? But while these two were talking they saw Wu Song arrive with a soldier who took away Wu Song's baggage, and they both left the house without saying a word. Wu the elder ran after him and asked, "Brother, why are you removing your baggage?" "Brother, you must not ask, because if I told you you would have to wear a mask." "Just let me go," replied Wu Song. What could Wu the elder say? So he let Wu Song go. Pan Jinlian was still muttering to herself in the house. "Well," she said, "people know that Wu Song is a relative of ours, and also an inspector, and they will assume that he helped us, but they will not understand why he has now turned against us. Truly it is, a flower and a Sidonia are only nice to look at. You can go, and I will give thanks to heaven for your departure, you, an ungrateful cur." Wu the elder could not understand his wife being so abusive, and he was very much upset. After Wu Song's departure Wu the elder resumed his job of hawking cakes on the street. At first he had thought of going to the yamen and talking the matter over with his brother, but his wife was emphatically opposed to that idea, therefore he did not go. About 10 days afterwards, the county magistrate, who had been at that place for more than 2 years, and had amassed a great deal of money, decided to send it to a relative at Eastern Capital for safekeeping until he could use it to ensure promotion. But he was afraid of the dangers of sending it by road, and was on the lookout for a reliable man to convey it. Suddenly he thought of Wu Song, who was just the man he wanted. So he sent for Wu Song to talk the matter over, and upon the latter's arrival he said, "In the Eastern Capital I have a relative to whom I want to send some presents, and also a letter inquiring about his health. But I am afraid that on the journey it would not be safe, and that a brave man here like you must undertake the task. You would not decline this toilsome task, and if you do this for me I will greatly promote you when you return. As I am indebted to you for my present position," said Wu Song, "how dare I offer excuses? Since you commission me to undertake this work I will go. I have never been to the Eastern Capital, and when I get there I can have a good look around the town. If you, sir, would have the present ready by tomorrow, I could leave then." The magistrate was much pleased at this, and offered him 3 cups of wine. Having received the orders of the county magistrate, Wu Song left the yamen, and returned to his quarters. Then, he gave a few taels of silver to a soldier, and ordered him to buy a bottle of wine, and some dried fish, meat, and fruit, and took them to Wu the elder's house on the Zisher Street. By a lucky concurrence, Wu the elder, who had just returned from his cake selling, happened to see Wu Song at his house door giving orders to the soldier for cooking the food. When Pan Jinlian saw the wine and food arriving, she thought that Wu Song had been thinking of her, and was coming back to her. She would not show that he had aroused her feelings, but would quietly ask him a few questions. She went upstairs, powdered her face, dressed her hair, put on some pretty colored clothes, and then went downstairs to receive Wu Song. She greeted him, "Uncle, I was not aware that I had treated you badly. You have not been here for several days, but I wonder what made you to do so. Every day I told my husband to go to the yamen, and talk matters over with you. When he returned he said that he could not find you. I am much pleased to see you here today. But why have you bought so many things?" "I specially came here today to talk about a matter with you and my brother," replied Wu Song. "Then let us go upstairs," said Jinlian. So all 3 went upstairs. Wu Song conducted Wu the elder and Jinlian to the seats of honor, and then taking a stool sat down in the inferior position. The soldier brought the wine and food and placed them on the table. Wu Song invited his brother and the latter's wife to partake the wine. Jinlian would not take her eyes away from Wu Song, but the latter gave all his attention to the wine. After they had drunk about 5 cups of wine, Wu Song ordered the soldier to fill up the cups again, and then taking his own cup in his hand he addressed with the elder brother, "Today I have been ordered to go to the Eastern Capital, and I have to start on my journey tomorrow. I expect to be gone not less than 40 days, or at most 2 months. Now you have ever been rather weak, and when I am abroad I am afraid that you may be insulted. If you have been selling, say 10 lots of cakes each day, then beginning from tomorrow I want you to sell only 5 lots. Every day go out late and come back early. Do not drink wine with men. When you return home lower the screen, and lock the door. Avoid scandal at all. If anybody insults you do not have a row with him, but wait until I return when I will discuss matters with him. If you will listen to my advice, then drink this wine." Wu the elder took the cup of wine from Wu Song, and replied, "Younger brother, what you say is right, and I will follow your advice." When Wu the elder had drunk the wine, Wu Song refilled the cup, and turning to Jinlian he said, "Madam, you are so clever that I need not say much to you. My brother is sincere, and he has entrusted his affairs to you. People have a saying, outer strength is not so much as an inner strength. Now, sister-in-law, if you look after the household affairs well, my brother will not be annoyed. Have you heard of the ancient saying, if the fence is not broken the dogs cannot enter?" While listening to this, Jinlian was blushed, and her face then turned to brown. When he had finished his speaking she pointed at her husband with her finger, and abused him saying, "You stupid ass. What language an outsider is now insulting me with? I do not wear a man's cap, but I am quite a termagant. I could hold a man in my fist, I could support a horse on my shoulders, and I could allow men to walk over my face without flinching. I am not like the turtle women who rouge their faces, and then draw their heads in when anybody approaches. Since I married with the elder, not even an ant have dared to come in my room, so how could a dog enter even if my fence was broken? You only speak confusedly. If you have anything to say, say clearly. If you throw a brick or a tile, it will of course strike the ground somewhere. Wusong laughed and said, if you can do things in this way, that will be all right. But your words should correspond with your heart. As matters are as you say, I will not forget your words, and must ask you to pledge me with this wine. But Jinlian pushed off the cup and ran downstairs. When halfway down the ladder she stopped and shouted, you may be very clever, but do you understand the saying, the wife of the eldest brother should be treated like your mother? Before I married with the elder, I never heard of him having a younger brother, but now you have turned up. I do not know whether you are a relative or not, but you evidently just want to be the boss of this house. My own fate has now many things to face. Having said this, she burst out crying and went downstairs. All this was not genuine, but full of deceit. The two brothers drank a few cups of wine more, and then Wusong got up to take his leave. Are you going? Asked Wu the elder. I hope that you will soon return, and that we shall meet again. As he said this, he could not avoid crying. Wusong, seeing him in tears, said, Elder brother, you must not do so much peddling, but stay at home more. I will repay you for the loss of that. They then went down, and as they were at the street door, Wusong said, Brother, do not forget what I have said. He then departed with the soldier. Early the next day Wusong packed his things, and then went to the yamen. The magistrate had already ordered a cart, and the boxes and baskets had been loaded on it. 2 reliable soldiers, and also 2 confidential servants, had already been instructed. He saluted the county magistrate, who was standing in front of the hall. He put his own baggage in the cart, and took his halberd in his hand. Seeing everything in order, he and all 4 men soon left Yanggu County on the road for eastern capital. When his brother had gone, Wu the elder was abused and cursed by his wife for several days. But Wu the elder smothered his anger, and took care not to forget his brother's words. Each day he only sold about half as many cakes as he had sold before, and it was never late when he returned home. As soon as he had put down his load, he always rolled up the screen, and shut the door, and then went inside to sit down. This vexed his wife, and pointing at him she said, You stupid ass. I have never seen anyone close the door while the sun is still at its zenith. People will think we have a demon in the house. You listened to what your brother had said, but you are not afraid of people laughing at us. You may let them laugh. What my brother said is quite right, and it will save us from a lot of trouble if we follow his advice. Rubbish. Stupid ass. You are a man? Yet you are not master of your own affairs, but listen to other people's orders. Wu the elder waved his hand and said, Take no notice of them. What my younger brother has said are words of gold. When Wusong had gone about 10 days, Wu the elder continued to go out late every day, and return early, and when he returned he always closed the door. His wife was always abusing him, so that they both got quite accustomed to it. In fact, she often rolled up the screen, and closed the door herself when he returned. Wu the elder was much pleased to see her doing this. About 3 days later the winter was nearly over, and the weather was gradually getting a little warmer. On one day when Wu the elder would be expected to return, his wife as usual went outside the door to roll up the screen. As she did this, a man happened to pass. The ancients had a saying, without luck nothing can be completed. As she took the forked stick in her hand to let down the curtain, she held it so loosely that it fell down, and hit the man on the head. He stopped in his excitement, but turning round he saw a very pretty woman, and was rendered helpless. Immediately his anger vanished to Java, and he smiled. She saw that his annoyance had gone, so she saluted him with folded arms and said, My hand slipped, I hope that you are not hurt. He adjusted his turban with his hand, and bowed to her. He said, Never mind. I hope that you did not sprain your wrist. Standing under a curtain at a tea house which was close by, there was a woman, Grandma Wong, who had noticed all this. She laughed and called out, "Who told you, sir, to pass under the eaves of this house? You deserve what you got." He laughed and said, "That was my fault. To intrude on women is unusual." Pan Jinlian laughingly replied, "I hope that you will forgive me." The man also laughed, and gave her a big slow salute. He then said that he dared not intrude further. At that time he was examining her closely with both his eyes. He then swaggered off, and at each step he turned his head to look at her. Jinlian then picked up the forked stick, rolled up the curtain, closed the door, and went inside to wait for her husband. "You know what's the name of that man, and where did he live?" He was a once wealthy man of Yanggu County, but now his property had been ruined. At present he owned a small drugstore opposite the front gate of the yamen. In his youth he had been a rascal, and was skillful with the cudgel and hand combat. Now he had gathered some influence and presumed to be an umpire of disputes that came to the yamen. He was always making further trouble in petty quarrels. The more he spoke, the more money he got, from passing money and bribing officials, so that everybody in the town tried to avoid him. His family name was Shiman and his personal name was Qing. He was the eldest son of his family, so that he was often called Shiman the Elder. But now he became a wealthy man, and was called the Honorable Shiman Qing. Now after that incident with Jinlian, he had not gone far before he turned into Grandma Wang's tea house, where he sat down near the door curtain. Grandma Wang laughed and spoke to him, "What a big slow salute you gave, sir." Shiman Qing laughed and replied, "Granny, come here. I have something to ask you. Who is that woman next door?" "She is the younger sister of King Yama," replied Grandma Wang, "and the child of a demon." "What do you mean by asking her name?" "I will be straight with you, but you must not jest at me," said Shiman Qing. "How is it that you do not recognize her?" asked Grandma Wang. "Her husband sells warm food daily before the yamen." "Is not that man, Susan, who sells date cakes?" asked Shiman Qing. "No, not that man," said Grandma Wang. "If she were his wife they would be a nice couple." "Guess again." "Oh, perhaps she is the wife of that silverware huckster, Li Er," said Shiman Qing. "Wrong again," replied Grandma Wang. "It would be a good match if she were his wife." "Oh, then perhaps she is the wife of that tattooed fellow, Lu Xiaoyi," said Shiman Qing. "No," replied Grandma Wang laughingly. "They would be a suitable pair if it be the case for her." "Guess it again." "I cannot think of anybody else," said Shiman Qing. Grandma Wang laughed and replied, "If I tell you her husband's name you would be amused very much. He is that seller of cakes named Wu the Elder." Shiman Qing burst into laughing, and stamped on the ground, and said, "Is not that Wu the Elder who is nicknamed 3 inches of mulberry bark?" "That is the man," said Grandma Wang. But Shiman Qing had pity for her hard lot. "It is a nice piece of meat in a dog's mouth," he said. "That is the trouble," replied Grandma Wang. "It reminds me of the ancient saying, 'A fine steed ridden by a silly fellow is like a clever wife always sleeping with a stupid husband.' But what is the old matchmaker in the moon thinking of such unequal alliances?" "How much do I owe for the tea, Grandma Wang?" asked Shiman Qing. "Not much. But rest a little while and I will reckon it up," replied Grandma Wang. "With whom has your son gone away?" asked Shiman Qing. "That is a thing I do not care to talk about," replied Grandma Wang. "He went to Huayin Prefecture with a guest, and as he has not returned so far we do not know whether he is living or not." "Why did you not send him to me to do some business?" asked Shiman Qing. "If you would take him, and recommend him for promotion, that would be very good," replied Grandma Wang. "When he returns we will discuss the matter in detail," said Shiman Qing. After some further talk he left. In about an hour's time he returned, and sat down near the curtain at the door of the tea house looking at the door of Wu the Elder's house, which was nearly opposite. Grandma Wang came and asked whether he would like some brewed plum juice. That is a good idea, he replied. I like it a little tart. She soon made the plum juice and handed the bowl to him. He drank it slowly, and when finished placed the bowl on the table, and said punningly, Grandma Wong, this plum juice is very nice. Have you any more in your establishment? Grandma Wong laughed and said, I have acted as a marriage matchmaker for a long time, but just at present I have no woman on hand in my house. I asked you about plums, and you replied about marriages. There is a wide difference. I thought you said that I arranged marriages very well, said Grandma Wong. As you are so expert in uniting people in matrimony, it would be an extremely fine thing if you would find me a woman. I would reward you abundantly. If I introduce you to a woman, your wife would be angry and slap my face, she replied. My wife is extremely docile and would not mind. I already have several concubines at home, but there is not one of them that quite suits me. So if you find me an extremely good one, you need not worry about my people raising an objection. Even if she is a widow, it does not matter so long as she suits me. The day before yesterday there was a nice woman, but I am afraid she would not suit you, said Grandma Wong. If she is nice, please arrange the marriage for me, and I will thank you, said Shimin-Ching. She is a paragon, but unfortunately she is not young, she said. If there is only a difference of a few years between us, that won't matter. How old is she? He asked. She is of the year of the tiger, and is now just 83 years of age, said Grandma Wong. You crazy woman, making such funny jokes, so saying he got up and went out with a laughing face. In the evening when it was getting dark, Grandma Wong lit the lamp, and upon going out to close the door she saw that Shimin-Ching had come back, and was sitting under the door curtain gazing at the door of Wu the Elder's house as before. Honorable sir, would you like some more plum juice? Asked Grandma Wong. Splendid idea, replied Shimin-Ching. But please make them a little sweet this time. Grandma Wong soon prepared, and brought it to him. She took a seat near him. He asked her to keep an account of what he owed, and that he would pay her the following day. Grandma Wong said that did not matter. You need not worry about payment, but come here at any time. He then departed and laughed as he went. Very early the next morning when Grandma Wong went to open the door, she saw Shimin-Ching pacing backwards and forwards before the door. She soliloquized, this fellow is getting very keen and comes here so often. I will flick some soft sugar on his nose and see whether he can lick it off. He is always taking advantage of the people of this town, but as he is now in my hands, I will see that this time he is defeated. She then opened the door and came back to kindle the charcoal fire and boiled some tea. Immediately Shimin-Ching entered, sat down near the screen, watching the door of Wu the Elder's house. Grandma Wong pretended not to see him and busily fanned the fire in the stove. She did not go to ask whether he wanted some tea. But at last he called out for 2 cups of tea. Grandma Wong laughed and asked, Sir, are you arrived? I have not seen you for several days. Please be seated. She then prepared 2 cups of strong ginger tea and placed them on the table. You come and drink tea with me, said Shimin-Ching. She laughed loudly and said, but I am not one of your sweethearts. Shimin-Ching was amused at this and asked, Granny, what are the people in the opposite door selling? What they're selling is steaming, dripping, hot and spicy, said Grandma Wong. Shimin-Ching laughed and said, you seem to be mad. Grandma Wong said, I am not mad. She has her own husband. Granny, I will be straight with you. As they make good cakes, I want to ask them to make about 50 for me, but I do not know whether they are at home or not. If you want to buy some cakes, you may wait until her husband returns from cake selling. What need is there for you to go to the house? She asked. What you say is quite right, said Shimin-Ching, and after sipping his tea for a time he got up and asked for his bill. Never mind that, she said. I have put it on account. Shimin-Ching laughed again and left the tea house. But Grandma Wong watched him closely from inside of her tea house and saw he went in one direction, and looked closely at the elder's house door. He then returned and passing it again, and had another careful look at it, and so on 7 or 8 times. He then re-entered her tea house. She addressed him, "Sir, I have not seen you for quite a long time." Shimin-Ching took out 1 tael of silver, and gave them to her saying, "Please accept these in payment for my refreshments." She smiled and asked, "Why give me so much?" "Never mind that," replied Shimin-Ching. She was really pleased at this, as it showed her that he was defeated. So she took the money, and put it away. She then spoke to him. "Sir, I see that you are thirsty. How would you like to have some tea?" "How is it that you can get my idea correctly?" asked Shimin-Ching. "Where is the difficulty in that?" she asked. "There is an ancient saying, when a person enters, there is no need to ask him whether his affairs are prosperous or not because his face will always tell you that. If there is any secret or strange affairs I can guess correctly." "Well, I have a secret affair, and if you can guess what it is, I will give you 5 taels of silver." Grandma Wang laughed and said, "That will not need 5 guesses, because I can guess it correctly in a straight way. Honorable sir, let me whisper it in your ear. For these last few days you have been gallivanting about a great deal. So I know that you are very keen on that woman who is at our next door. Have I guessed rightly?" "Granny," said Shimin-Ching laughingly, "your wisdom is certainly as great as that of Sui He and Lu Jia. I will not try to deceive you. I do not know how it happened, but since that woman dropped the forked stick on my head I seem to have lost my 3 souls and 7 essences. And I can think of no plan to get into her presence. Can you contrive a method to accomplish that?" Grandma Wang laughed loudly saying, "Well, I will be straight with you. I of course sell tea, but I am generally known as Devil playing a night watchman. 3 years ago, on a day in the 6th month when it snowed I sold 1 cup of tea, but ever since no second visitor has come and my livelihood had to depend on other jobs." "What are those other jobs?" asked Shimin-Ching. "My chief business," she said, "is acting as a matchmaker, a broker, a midwife, arranging miscarriages, or as a procuress, a mabolio." 66. 66. One who arranges improper or adulterous relations. "If you can arrange this matter for me," said Shimin-Ching, "I will give you 10 taels of silver to provide a coffin for you when the affair is completed." "Just listen to me," said Grandma Wang. "For seducing the fair sex there are 5 things that are necessary." She then explained them to him. 1. You must be as handsome as Pannin. 2. You need to be hung like a donkey. 3. You need to be as rich as Deng Tong. 4. You need to be as forbearing as a needle threading cotton wool. 5. You need to make the time and effort. Pannin, donkey, Deng Tong, forbearance, time and effort. You can do it only if you meet these requirements. "I have some of each of these 5, said Shimin-Ching. "First, I'm not as handsome as Pannin, but I hold my own. Second, I've had a big dick since I was young. Third, my family has some spare change, not as much as Deng Tong, but we manage. Fourth, I'm very forbearing. If she hit me 100 times, I wouldn't retaliate even once. Fifth, time and effort are not a problem. I'm here after all. Granny, if you will arrange this matter for me, and help me to accomplish it I shall be extremely grateful, and reward you." "I know that you have all these qualifications," said Grandma Wang, "but there is still one thing that stands in the way." "What is that?" he asked. "Well, although you have all these things, yet if you are just short of 1% of what I now refer to it may destroy all your chances. I know that you have always been thrifty, so I should like to know whether you are willing to splash out now." "Of course I will," replied Shimin-Ching, "I will be guided by what you advise." "As you are willing to spend the money, I have a plan by which you can meet that woman, but will you follow my advice?" "Of course I will do whatever you propose," replied Shimin-Ching. "What is your plan?" She laughed and said, "It is now late, and you had better go. But come back in half a year or 3 months, and we will discuss the matter further." Shimin-Ching knelt down and appealed to her not to let the matter rest in that way. She laughed at this and told him that he was getting precipitous. Her plan was an extremely good one, and it would be as successful as the famous military tactician Suanzi, 6th century BC, who applied his methods to train court concubines into women soldiers. Now I will tell you this, that woman was previously a servant in the house of a wealthy man at Qinghe County, and she is a very good sewing woman. Now I suggest you to purchase a roll of thin white silk, a roll of blue silk, a roll of pongee silk, 10 tails of fine cotton, and give them to me. Then I will go across to meet her, and have a chat with her. During tea I will tell her that a very wealthy man have presented me these silk for making my burial clothes. I will ask her to lend me her almanac to select an auspicious day on which to invite a tailor to make the clothes. If I see that she will not assist me, I am afraid that the matter will be finished. But if she offers to help me in making the clothes and asks me not to send for a tailor, then that will be the first step towards your object. I will ask her to come to my home to do the work. But if she wants me to go and do the work at her house, that will be the end of the matter. If she offers to come here and cut the silk for me, that will be a second step towards your object. If she comes, I will then, of course, ask her to have some wine and cake with me. You need not come the first day. And if on the second day she prefers to take stuff to her house, again the matter will be ended there, but if she comes every day to my house, that will be the third step towards your object. During that day also you need not come here. On the third day you can come with your best dress, and cough outside the door, saying, "How is it that I have not seen you for several days, Grandma Wang?" Then I will come and ask you to come inside. If, when you enter, she runs away, I cannot of course detain her, and that again will be the end of the matter. But if she does not move when she sees you, then it will be the fourth step towards your object. When we are all seated, I will explain to her that you are the person who gave me the silk. The last stage may be the most difficult. You must be careful and speak honeyed words to her, and avoid any roughness of manner or speech. Do not touch her with hand or foot or make any violent move, or else it will soon come to naught, and I cannot help you. You had better accidentally brush a chopstick off the table with your sleeve, then you stoop down, and quietly stroke her foot. But if she objects to this, you will have to wait until I come to help you. It will be difficult to go any further in the matter. But if she does not say anything, then the matter is completed, and you can go ahead. What do you think of my plan? Shi Minqing laughed and said, "Your plan is extremely well thought out." Grandma Wang told him that he must not forget to give her the 10 taels of silver. Shi Minqing said, "How can one forget that oranges come from Dongting Lake when one is eating the peel? I will give you the money of course, but when can the plan be put into effect?" "I will report further to you this evening," said Grandma Wang. "As Wu the elder has not yet returned, I will now go across and lay the bait. You can go and buy the rolls of silk, and engage a man to bring them here." "You need have no doubt as to carrying out of my part of the bargain," said Shi Minqing. He then took his leave and went to a silk shop where he purchased the silks and 10 rolls of pure cotton, and told his servant to take them with 5 taels of silver to Grandma Wang's tea house. She duly received the silk and dismissed the servant. She went out by the back door to Pan Jinlian's house. Pan Jinlian welcomed her and invited her to go upstairs and sit down there. Grandma Wang asked why Pan Jinlian did not come to her tea house the last few days, to which Jinlian replied that she had not been very well. Grandma Wang then asked if she had an almanac, as she wanted to select an auspicious day on which to cut out some silk for clothes. Pan Jinlian asked what kind of clothes she was making. Grandma Wang said that she had been far from well, and she could not be sure how it would end, so she was going to make some burial clothes for herself. She said at her request a very wealthy local man had given her a lot of silk to make the clothes with. She had had the silk at home for more than a year, but now as she felt her end was drawing near, she had decided to wait no longer, but make the clothes at once. As there was an intercalary month in that year, she would like to have made a start during the next 2 days, but the tailor was so busy that he could not come, which was very disappointing. When she heard this, Pan Jinlian laughed and said, "I am afraid that I am not properly qualified to do such work, but if you would like it I could assist you in that matter." Grandma Wang also laughed and said, "If you would help me, my soul might have a happy destination after my death. I have heard of your skill with needle and thread, but I did not dare to come and ask you about the matter." "There is no obstacle in the way," said Pan Jinlian, "and as I have promised to do it, I will certainly stick to my word. I will get a man to select an auspicious day, and then will come and help you on that day." Grandma Wang said, "If you will help me in this work, there will be no need to select an auspicious day, because you are such a fortunate person. The other day I did ask a man for an auspicious day, and I now remember that tomorrow is such a day, but then I did not think it necessary to select such a day to start with this work, so I did not take pain to remember it. It is very important to have an auspicious day on which to start making interment vestures, but why wait for another auspicious day?" asked Jinlian. "As you are quite willing, then I venture to ask you to come to my house tomorrow, and we will start work," said Grandma Wang. "But why would you not come here to do this work?" asked Jinlian. "Because I would like to watch you work, and as I live by myself I have no one to look after my house," replied Grandma Wang. "In that case I will come tomorrow as soon as I have had my breakfast," said Jinlian. When Grandma Wang left, she was very profuse in her thanks for the help offered. That afternoon she went straight to Shimanqing and reported to him what had been arranged. She told him to call at her house the day after the next. The next day Grandma Wang got up early and cleaned and set her room in good order, and prepared water for making tea. She went and bought some thread, and then waited at home for the arrival of her guest. At the other house Wu the elder had departed with his load of cakes after breakfast. As soon as he had gone, his wife let down the door screen, and then went out by the back door to Grandma Wang's house. Grandma Wang was exceedingly glad to see her, and took her inside, and invited her to partake of some strong tea, white pine seeds, and walnuts which she had prepared. After their repast she cleared the table, and brought out the 4 rolls of silk. Pan Jinlian examined them, measured them, and after cutting them in lengths began to sew. Grandma Wang looked on and applauded all that was done. She said that although she was nearly 70 years old she had never seen such excellent needlework before. Jinlian continued sewing till about noon, when Grandma Wang invited her to stop and dine, food, wine, and vermicelli being prepared. Afterwards the sewing went on until late in the afternoon when Jinlian went home. Shortly afterwards Wu the elder returned, and his wife opened the door for him, and raised the curtain. When Wu the elder entered the room he noticed that his wife was flushed, so he asked her where she had been drinking wine. Pan Jinlian then explained that she had been across the way sewing for their neighbor Grandma Wang, who at noon had asked her to partake of some repast. Wu the elder did not like this, and said that if she had to go again he preferred that the repast be taken in his own house. He objected to her causing trouble to other people. If she went the following day he wanted her to take some money, buy some food, and invite Grandma Wang to dine with her. There was a saying, a distant relative is not as good as a near neighbor. He did not, however, wish her to lose their neighbor's fraternity. But if Grandma Wang did not want to accept her hospitality, then she must ask her to bring the work to his house. His wife listened to this, but made no comment. The next day Grandma Wang went on with her deceitful scheme, and as soon as Wu the elder had gone she came to his house, and asked his wife to go and proceed with the needlework. They both went to Grandma Wang's house, and the sewing was taken up, while Grandma Wang got the tea ready. This went on till near noon when Pan Jinlian took out a string of cash, and gave it to Grandma Wang, saying that it would be used for some wine for them to drink. But Grandma Wang would not take it. She said it would be unreasonable. "I have asked you to come here and do this work for me, so how could I allow you to spend money?" "My husband told me to make this offer," replied Jinlian, "and if you would not accept it then I should do the work at my own home." "Your husband is very kind," said Grandma Wang. She was afraid that her plans would be upset if she did not accept the money, so she took it, added some of her own money, and went out to buy the best wine, food, and fruit. Upon her return she took every care to entertain her guest. Now, reader, you should know that the women of this generation, no matter how clever and careful they are, cannot escape the temptations of evil men, and 9 out of 10 of them will be duped. Grandma Wang prepared some meat and requested Jean Lien to dine and drink wine with her. This was done, and in the evening Jean Lien returned home. On the third day Grandma Wang watched for the departure of Wu the elder, and then went by the back entrance to his house, and again requested his wife to come with her. The latter agreed, and they both adjourned to Grandma Wang's house, where the needlework was continued until nearly noon. Now Shimin-Ching had not forgotten that this was the day for him to appear on the scene, so he put on a new turban, and dressed in his best clothes. Taking about 4 taels of silver he set out for the Zisher Street. Upon arriving at the door of the tea house he coughed and said, "Granny Wang, how is it that I have not seen you for so long?" Grandma Wang went out and asked laughingly, "Who are you?" "It's I," replied Shimin-Ching. "As first I wondered who it was," she said looking round, "but now I see that it is you, my benefactor. Please come inside and have a look." She took hold of his sleeve and drew him inside, and when he saw Pan Jean Lien she said to her, "This is the gentleman who gave me the silk." Shimin-Ching saluted Pan Jean Lien, and upon seeing this she dropped her work, and saluted him with both hands. Grandma Wang then addressed Shimin-Ching, "You will remember that about a year ago you gave me a lot of silk. I did not do anything with it, until a few days ago, when this lady offered to help me in making the clothes. She is an excellent needlewoman, and very skillful in her work. She does the fine minute parts very well indeed. Just look at the work she has done." Shimin-Ching looked at the silk and said, "How is it possible for anyone to do such wonderful work? It looks as though it had been done by a fairy." Jean Lien laughed and said, "Sir, you need not laugh at me." Shimin-Ching addressed Grandma Wang and asked, "May I dare ask you who this lady is?" "Honorable sir, you had better guess," replied Grandma Wang. "How can I guess?" replied Shimin-Ching. Grandma Wang laughed and said, "This is our neighbor Pan Jean Lien. The other day she dropped a forked stick on your head. Its fall must have caused no pain that you now have forgotten it?" Jean Lien with a violent red blush said, "On that day my hand unfortunately slipped, but I hope that you will not bear me any grudge." "Nothing of the kind," replied Shimin-Ching. Grandma Wang interrupted by saying, "This man is always amiable, and has never borne any grudge towards anyone. He is an extremely good man." "I was then not aware that she was the wife of Wu the elder," said Shimin-Ching. "I know of course that he sells cakes on the street to support his family, but he also is quite a good man. He earns money, and is a good-tempered fellow. Such men are very rare." Grandma Wang remarked, "Do you know that since Wu the elder married her, she has always been obedient to him in every matter?" "He is a useless man," said Jean Lien, "but, sir, you will not laugh at him." "Madam, you are mistaken," said Shimin-Ching. "There is an ancient saying, 'Meekness is essential to success, violence will bring calamities.' As your husband is such a good man he is like the saying, 'Of a vast volume of water not one drop could leak away.'" Grandma Wang interrupted him by saying, "That is so." Shimin-Ching now sat down opposite to Jean Lien, and Grandma Wang asked the latter whether she recognized him, but Jean Lien replied that she did not know him. Grandma Wang said, "Well, he is one of the rich men of our town, and is on very friendly terms with the magistrate. He is called the Honorable Shimin-Ching. He has a great deal of money, and has a dispensary opposite the yamen. At home his store of money is so high it reaches the Big Dipper, and has granaries full of rice. At home things yellow are of gold, and that of white are of silver, round things are pearls, and bright are jewels. He has precious rhinoceros horns and elephant's tusks." She indulged in this puff like a quack, as she really did not believe in it herself. While this was going on Jean Lien bowed her head over the needlework. But Shimin-Ching gazed at her longingly, and was anxious to have her alone. Grandma Wang went and got 2 cups of tea, which she set before them saying that she hoped Jean Lien would entertain him. While the two were drinking the tea they made eyes at each other. Grandma Wang stroked her face with her hand, and Shimin-Ching knew that he had already got halfway there. She said to him, "If you, sir, had not happened to drop in I could not have dared to ask you to come here. It was very fortunate for you to come today. There is a saying, one guest cannot disturb two hosts. You gave me the money, and she gives me her labor. I did not go on the street looking for you, and this lady just happens to be here when you call, so I hope that as you are a good master, you will entertain her for me. Shi Minqing expressed regret that he had not thought of that before, and he now took out some money and gave it to Grandma Wang to buy some wine. Jinlian objected to this, but she did not move. Grandma Wang took the money, but even then Jinlian did not move. As Grandma Wang left the room to buy some things, she turned and asked Jinlian to sit and talk with their guest. Jinlian told her she need not go out to buy the things, but still she did not move. It was now evident that Jinlian and Shi Minqing had the same idea. Shi Minqing looked at her steadily, and Jinlian took stealthy glances at him. She liked his appearance, and had almost made up her mind, but she dropped her head again and awaited developments. Soon Grandma Wang returned with a fat goose, cooked meat, and very nice fruit which she had purchased. She soon had them arranged on a tray, and brought them into the room, and placed the tray on the table. Jinlian asked Grandma Wang to entertain their guest as she was not justified in doing so. Again she did not move. But how can you say that, replied Grandma Wang, because this is particularly to entertain you. They all three then sat down at the table, and the wine was poured out. Shi Minqing lifted up a cup of wine and asked Jinlian to drink it. Jinlian laughed and said, Sir, I am much obliged to you for your kindness. I know that you like the wine, said Grandma Wang, so I hope that you are not standing on ceremony, but drink a few cups of wine. Shi Minqing then picked up his chopsticks and asked Grandma Wang to get the lady to eat some food also. Grandma Wang selected some of the best food and gave them to Jinlian. After they had drunk about 3 cups of wine each, Grandma Wang went for a fresh supply. While she was away, Shi Minqing asked Jinlian how old she was, to which she replied that she was 23 years of age. Shi Minqing said that he was 5 years older. To which she replied, You are as high as the sky while I am as low as ground. Just then Grandma Wang returned and said, What a fine smart lady you are. You are not only good at needlecraft, but you are also well educated. Shi Minqing said, Where is there another lady like her? Wu the elder was very fortunate in getting such a prize. I speak to the point when I say that although you have many women at home, I guarantee you have not a lady equal to this one, said Grandma Wang. About that matter I am very sorry, I cannot say anything, said Shi Minqing, except that I have been unfortunate in not getting a really good wife. But, sir, your first wife was good, said Grandma Wang. I do not care to talk about her, said Shi Minqing, but if she were alive now my house would not have been turned upside down. Just now I have about 3 or 7 concubines, but they are all useless, just mouths waiting to be fed. How many years has it been since the death of your first wife, sir? Asked Jinlian. I do not wish to say that, said Shi Minqing, but although she came of a poor family she was exceedingly clever, and managed all my affairs well. Unfortunately, she died. That was 3 years ago, and since then all my affairs at home have been in great confusion. That is why I do not stay at home now, because there I get nothing but abuse and annoyance. Sir, please do not be offended if I speak to you rather straightforwardly, said Grandma Wang. Your first wife was not as good as Jinlian at needlecraft. She was moreover not as good-looking as this lady, said Shi Minqing. Grandma Wang laughed and said, But is it not true that you keep a mistress on the East Street? And yet you have never asked me to go there and have tea with you. She is a sing-song girl named Zhang Sisi, said Shi Minqing. But I know that she is also a stranger, so that I do not care for her. But are you not Madame Li Qiaoqiao's lover for a long time too? Asked Grandma Wang. Oh. I have taken her to my home, said Shi Minqing. If she were as pretty as this lady I would of course have married her long ago. And if I find a woman like this lady, may I come to your house as a matchmaker to discuss marriage? Asked Grandma Wang. Both my father and mother are dead, replied Shi Minqing. I now manage my own affairs, so who can question anything I do? Speaking earnestly, said Grandma Wang, How could I immediately get a woman who would suit your taste? Why not? Asked Shimanqing. So far I have only been unfortunate in marriage and, therefore, I have not met the one as I desire. They talked further on this subject, and then Grandma Wang pointed out that they had drunk all the wine, and said that she should go out to buy some more. I have here 5 taels of silver which I will hand you to buy wine with, said Shimanqing, and if it is too much then you can keep the balance. As she took the money, and arose to go out, Grandma Wang looked at her lady friend, and saw that the wine had had its effect. She still however hung down her head, but did not move. Grandma Wang knew that they both had the same object, and that when she left them together they would soon arrange matters. Grandma Wang was pleased and she said to Jinlian, I will now go and buy some more wine, so I shall have to trouble you to entertain this gentleman. Is there still some wine left? If any, fill 2 cups for the Honorable Shimanqing. There is a place near the yamen where I can buy some good wine so that I may be some time before I return. Jinlian said she did not want any more wine, but again she did not move. So Grandma Wang left them, but as she went out she fastened the door with a rope, and sat down just on the other side. Shimanqing took a cup of wine, and asked Jinlian to drink it. As he did this he brushed a chopstick off the table with his sleeve. This was a trick, as it fell close to the feet of the lady. When he stooped down to pick it up, he saw that she had 2 small pointed feet. So he stealthily placed his hand on her embroidered shoe. She laughed at this but said, You need not be so backward. Shimanqing knelt down and petitioned her to satisfy his desire. She thereupon embraced him, and he got up. Soon afterwards Grandma Wang returned and pretending to be angry said, You two look happy. Both Shimanqing and Jinlian were startled, and Grandma Wang continued, I asked you to come here to help me to make some clothes, and not to carry on with this man. If Wu the elder got to know of this he would blame me. I will go and tell him about it at once. She then turned round to leave the room. But Jinlian seized hold of her skirt and begged to be forgiven. Shimanqing appealed to her not to make a noise. If you want me to forgive you, you must do one thing as I tell you, said Grandma Wang. I will obey you in everything, not to say one thing, said Jinlian. Then from now you must deceive your husband, and not let him know of this affair. You must not break your promise and abuse the kindness of this gentleman, and then I will not disclose the affair. But if you do not come here once every day, I will immediately tell your husband. I will do as you wish, said Jinlian. Sir, it is not necessary for me to advise you, said Grandma Wang to Shimanqing. This affair is now completed, but you must not forget to present me with those things. If you should forget that, I should then have to inform Wu the elder. You need not trouble about that, said Shimanqing, I will keep my promise. The 3 then sat down, and drank wine until late in the afternoon when Jinlian got up, and said that her husband would soon return, and she must go now. She left and entered her own home through the back door, Wu the elder came in shortly afterwards. Being alone with Shimanqing, Grandma Wang asked him, Well, what do you think of my plan? It all passed off very smoothly, said Shimanqing. I will now go to my house, and send you the sum of money I promised. How dare I not keep my word? Then I will wait with great expectations, said Grandma Wang. But do not let me beg for the money after I have rendered the service. Shimanqing laughed and departed. Every day Jinlian stole into Grandma Wang's house, and there continued to meet Shimanqing. Their feelings were like varnish, and their hearts stuck together like glue. There is an ancient saying, good deeds are never heard of outside the door, but bad deeds are proclaimed for 1,000 li. In less than a fortnight all the neighbors knew about this affair, and Wu the elder was the only one who did not know about it. We will now consider another matter. In the town there was a boy called Xiao of about 15 years of age. His father had been a soldier at Yunzhou, an ancient city in Shandong, and the boy was nicknamed Yungu. 67 He was very cute, and earned a little money by selling fruit at the inns. Shimanqing had set him up in business by advancing the small capital. One day he was hawking with a basket of snow pears, and was also on the lookout for Shimanqing. Upon his inquiring if anyone had seen Shimanqing, a man said that if he really wanted to find him he would tell him where to go. Well, said Yungo, you will tell me, it will enable me to earn a few cash for the support of my old father. Well, said the bystander, I suppose Shimanqing is at his usual work of seducing Pan Jinlian. He goes every day to meet her at Grandma Wang's tea house in the Zisher Street. He will certainly be there now. As you are only a small boy, there would be no objection raised if you went inside. The boy went straightway to the Zisher Street, and entering the tea shop saw Grandma Wang seated on a stool weaving the yarn. He put his basket down and saluted her with both hands. Yungo, what do you want here? Asked Grandma Wang. I am looking for an honorable gentleman to earn a few cash from him, replied the boy. What honorable? You know whom I am looking for, said the boy. What is his name? His family name has 2 characters, replied the boy. What are the 2 characters? Granny, you are only playing with me. I want to speak to the Honorable Shimanqing. So saying he went towards the next room. But Grandma Wang was quick, and seizing his coat, she asked, You little monkey. Where are you going? In houses there are places where you cannot go. I am only going to look for him inside, he said. You stinking monkey, exclaimed Grandma Wang. How could Shimanqing be in my rooms? What I do not know. But as you make money, why not let me share a little of it? You little monkey, exclaimed Grandma Wang. What do you know? You are like a chopper cutting vegetables in a wooden bowl, said the boy, because not the least bit leaks out. If I told what I know, I am afraid that the seller of cakes would make trouble. As soon as Grandma Wang heard this, she knew that he had got hold of what she thought was her secret, so she was angry and shouted at him, You monkey! How dare you come into my house and fart like that? I am a monkey, but you are a pimp, said the boy. She thereupon seized hold of him and boxed him on the head with her knuckles. What are you beating me for? You thieving monkey! If you make any noise I will box your ears, said Grandma Wang. You brothel keeper! You have no reason for beating me. Grandma Wang dragged him to the street door, and all the way hammered at his head. She then took his basket of snow pears, and threw them through the door, and they were scattered in all directions. That little monkey could not retaliate with force, but he began to pick up the pears. Cursing, crying, picking up his pears, and pointing at the tea house he shouted, You old pimp! You need not get anxious, be assured that I will certainly go and tell him. He at last picked up his basket, and went off to find a man. Fox and hare in dawns are turned over. Mandarin ducks 68 are roused from sleep. We will now relate whom Yunga looked for. Footnote. 67 Elder brother Yun. 68 lovers.